Hey everyone, today we are starting off a brand new series where we'll build an AI-powered MERN Stack project from scratch. This project is a smart financial tracking application that uses artificial intelligence to simplify the income and expense management. Think of it as your personal finance assistant with receipts, budgets, and alerts where almost all of it is automated. This is the first video and I'll walk you through the technologies we'll be using, and then I'll show you a demo of the completed application so you know exactly what we are building together. Let's quickly go over the tech stack. I'll explain each part in one line here, and then later in the series we'll dive deep into each technology. First of all, we have React plus White, which is a fast modern build tool for front-end setup to build responsive user interfaces. And then we'll use NodeJS, which will provide us a runtime environment to create our backend application, and then Express, which is a backend framework for building APIs and handling server logic. And also, we will not be writing any CSS in this project, as we will be using Tailwind CSS, which offers utility-first styling. And then we'll also be using ShadCN UI, which offers pre-built accessible components for clean design. And as for state management, we will be using Zustand, which is a lightweight state management for handling global state app, and we'll also be using MERN Stack React Query for efficient data fetching from our API and for caching smooth API interactions. Following that, we have the React Router DOM, which can be used to handle navigation between different pages in our application. We'll also be using React Hook Forms plus Zot. Now, React Hook Forms basically would simplify form handling, and it comes pre-built with Zot, which is a runtime validator. And we'll also be using charts library called Recharts. This is basically used for visualizing financial data in this project. As for authentication, we will be using a third-party service for this, which would be Clock, which is a drop-in authentication system for login and sign up. And then for the database, we will be using MongoDB, which is a NoSQL database for storing transactions, budgets, and user data for this project. And we'll also be using Amazon S3, which is a very secure cloud storage provided to us from AWS, and we'll be using that to store images from our project. And as for the AI part, we will be integrating with Gemini API, which gives us the ability to use OCR. And in this case, we'll be using our AI service to extract text from received images automatically. And since this is a production ready app, we will be deploying these apps as well. So the deployment platforms for hosting the front end will be Netlify and the backend API on Render, and both these will be free. So if you're a beginner learning MERN Stack for the first time, don't worry, since we'll be covering all the important concepts step by step. Just make sure you know how JavaScript works, like functions, async await, and destructuring. Or if you're an intermediate developer curious about AI integration, there's something here for you as well. Now let's take a look at the completed project. This app has 7 main pages, and each is designed to make this financial tracking simple and smart. First, the user lands on the homepage to get an idea about the app. Essentially, this app enables users to track their finances, including income and expenses. I'll explain how this all works once we get to the transactions page. At the very top, we have the Nav bar with us that has some navigational links, as you can see here, and 2 buttons on the right. One is for login and this one is for sign up. And at the landing page, which is this page, our home page, we have the hero component, which has a CTA button, which is call to action. And followed by that, we have another section that shows what this app tries to solve, the problems and our solutions. The next section is the features section, which describes the features of this application. And then we also have an about section, which kind of gives an idea about this app, like who made it. And then lastly, we have this contact section, which has a contact form that we can use. And as you can see, most data in here is dummy data. Now let's check our login and sign in page. First, we'll go to the sign up page, and this is where we will be able to register for this application. At the very top, it says create your account. We also have social logins like Facebook, Google, and Microsoft, or we can just manually fill this data as well and get things done. And as I already have an account, I'll just go to the sign in page. And this is our sign in page. For now, I will be using Microsoft login. We'll just give it a few seconds. And once the user is logged in, they will be headed straight to the user dashboard. As you can see at the very top, it displays my name. And this dashboard basically shows monthly summaries, charts, and some recent transactions that we have made in this application. Now, based on the selected month and year, currently December is selected. If I select November, you won't see any data here. And for December you might see some data. These are just some data that I just filled before I started recording. In here it shows the total income for the relevant person followed by total expense and then the balance. And this is a savings rate that is calculated based on the total amount we saved off of the total income. And below that there is a batch that was made using UI, and this represents all our transactions we have recorded in the system. In here it shows all the expenses with the amount and the current date. Once we fill this month with a lot of data, you'll see a very nice and proper bar chart. Right now it only has 3 transactions, and this will be the income, and it currently has only one income entry that was recorded, which is this one, the monthly salary of $4,750. And this is the recent income section. It shows the recent income if you select income here, and then the recent expenses, you choose expenses in here. And this is our transactions page. This is where we can add transactions like and or upload a receipt for the AI powered automation. Now how this works is each entry that we add is recorded as a transaction, where users can choose a type which is income or an expense, which can be done from here. Let us first add a small entry here of around $40. Let's just choose a date. I'll just choose the 4th of December, and we just need to type a source in here, which usually means the merchant. And then in here we have to choose a category. In this case we will be choosing food, and then we just need to click submit. And as you can see, we have just recorded our first entry on the category of food. Now as you saw, this part was done manually. Now it could be so cool if we could do this, like if we could automate this part. And that is where this button comes into play, because with the use of AI, users can now submit receipt images of their day-to-day expenses or income statements. Let me show you what that means. Let me just select this bill from Walmart and then click submit. So how this process works is, with the help of OCR, which is inbuilt within this AI agent we use, our relevant data will get extracted from this image, which is this bill. And as you can see, a new draft transaction is created automatically that we as users can now double check and then proceed with creating a transaction. In this case, we just bought some electronics and some accessories. We just select a category here. In this case, miscellaneous. It is of type expense. All these get pre-selected based on the receipt we sent. And then we click submit. And as you can see, it simply added a new transaction based on the receipt we just gave. Now where does this receipt go? It goes right down here. These are some other receipts that I had previously tested with, as you can see from here. And this is our latest receipt. This is just some random receipt that I just generated using Gemini API. And in here, there's a lot of data here. But if you look closely, the subtotal is shown as $786.94. With tax, it becomes 883.83. Now, even at first glance, this might be confusing for us, but our AI agent does the job perfectly. It exactly recorded it as 883.83. In here it's just rounded off, but the actual transaction, it shows the exact amount. And again, from here we can choose which month's transactions we want to display. At the moment we don't have anything for November, so we just see as no transactions. So we'll just go back to December, and then we can also use a search bar to search through all our transactions. Now this works for type. If we just type expense, it shows all the expenses, and then for income, and then for node we can just type movie and it shows us the F1 movie. And then for source, if we type Walmart, it shows the entry related to Walmart only. And we can also search by category. We can search by salary. It would show us the only income we have here. And we can add an income the same way. We just need to choose income here. And if there are too many entries, it will show us the next page like this. And there are two ways of viewing the transactions. One is the table view, as you can see here. If we click here, we can go to the card view, as you can see from here. It just shows some basic data, but mainly this card view is for mobile and tablet usage because the screen is too small for us to actually show a table, right? And to edit these transactions, you can just click edit here, and then you can edit any transaction that you can see from here. You can just edit this one, and you can change any value that you have, that you can see here. Like I could change this into 5,000, and that value gets updated in real time. Same goes for expenses as well, and you can edit this while you're on table view as well. And in here it just displays a message as to what you can do, and the same process, edit as well as a delete option. And once you're done with the edit option, you can just click here done, and it would go away. And below that you see all the receipts like I showed you earlier. In here it shows you receipts in three different categories. One is the unprocessed. Right now we don't have any unprocessed receipts at the moment, so it just says you're good to go. And then in here it shows all the processed receipts. What process means is we uploaded an image of a receipt. That image was properly saved onto our backend, and these images are actually saved on Amazon S3. I'll explain what all that means on our later videos. And basically process here means verified. By verified, it means that based on this receipt we have created a transaction. Like for Walmart, we have created one here for 883, and then for this one here we have another entry in, where is it? Okay, here it is. And we can also view all these bills as well. And then we have all these other receipts that were processed and unprocessed. So what would happen if we delete a transaction from here? So if we go ahead and let's say we delete this one from Walmart. Now this actually had a link to the relevant receipt. So if we come down here, now you see that the Walmart bill has just disappeared. Apparently it's not disappeared, it's still there in our system. If we go to all, you can see the bill here, but instead of verified, it says processed. So now you understand what verified means. Verified means the transaction was created successfully. If it's not, it would just show us the process button. Now if we go here, you will see this card with a receipt. Now we can simply click process here and then just choose a category. In this case, I'll choose miscellaneous here again, and by default it will just select the latest date that is available to us, and then we just click submit. And now the unprocessed receipt has gone away. If we click here, you can see it is now verified, and we can see here that was already added in here as well. And then at the very bottom we have a list of categories. This shows all the categories upon which we can create our transactions, be it income or expenses. These arrows define expenses, while these up arrows in green display income. We can also edit these categories as income or expenses. I'm not going to do that right now. We can also add new categories by going to here, by choosing income or expenses. It's working pretty much the same way as adding a new transaction manually. So now we can go to the budget page at the very top. It looks very similar to a dashboard. We just have some stats here. You can also choose a month. And basically this is used to monitor budgets with like progress bars and some statistics. Another cool feature of this application is we can create budgets with a spending limit for each category within a given date range. Let me show you how that happens. Just click here as add budget. Let's add a budget for entertainment category. Let's call it as entertainment expenses, and set a budget of 100. Select the category as entertainment, select a date range, and then click create budget. After a few seconds, you can see it has created a new budget for us. Now you might be thinking we just added a budget, but it already shows you like half of it is already spent. Correct. We did spend because we have already added a few transactions under entertainment, like you can see from here. $30 and $29 is equal to 59.29. And in here it shows the total budgeted, which means this is the maximum amount that we are going to budget for. We have one active budget that is running. We have spent this much of our total budget. This doesn't necessarily mean this one budget card. It displays everything. If you have 4 or 5 cards, it displays the total you have spent, total you have budgeted, and the total amount that is remaining. If you want to check individually, you have to come down here and then just check this card manually. And we can show all the active cards and then all the completed ones in here. In here also the search bar works the same way as in the transaction page. Currently we have one active entertainment expense. It shows we have spent this much and 40.71 is remaining. We can also edit this budget. We can just give this, and we can even drop this as and click save changes, and it would update it instantly. Now we can just go back and just try to add a random expense. And just make sure we choose entertainment here so that we keep track of everything. Okay, our entry just got added. Let's check the budget page. And here you can see our number just jumped from 59 to 69. And that is how this thing works. Once this whole thing is filled, it will just show as completed, which means we have reached the budget. And anything we add above that is gonna be exceeding. This page is there to keep track of our expenses. We just don't want to go over the budget. And this budget amount gets reduced as we add more and more expenses. And remember, we can only add budgets for expenses and not income, because practically that wouldn't make sense to add it for incomes, right? And then lastly, we have our notifications page. This basically lets us view automated alerts for inactivity or budget thresholds. What that means is basically shows us alerts that are generated from the backend. And remember, all the messages you see in notifications are auto-generated. We do not do any of that manually. And this first message, as you can see here, is it's showing budget for entertainment expenses is at 50%. It says we have reached 50% of our limit. So if we go here to budget, that is true. We have currently at 69.3%. So why is that happening? It's because we have set for notifications, which basically are alerts, and these alerts are generated whenever any budget of ours reaches 50% of its spending, 90% of its spending, and 100% of its entire limit. There's another way of creating an alert where an alert takes place, and that would be if a user has not added a transaction in like the past 5 days, you will get an alert message asking to come back and start recording. I'll show you how that message looks like once we start working on our project. Also, this entire application is mobile friendly, so let me just show you that. As you can see, all these components adjust themselves based on the screen size. Now, if you see here, you will notice that we cannot see the table. Like I mentioned, tables are only visible on desktop, and on tablets and mobile devices you cannot see them. You can only see them as cards because it's more easier and more readable. Then we have the budgets page followed by the notification page. So that's the completed project, a MERN Stack application with AI integration for finance tracking. Now, I know this is quite a big project and it would take a while to build, but I'll try my best to keep things short and finish this off as soon as I possibly can. In the next video, we'll start setting up our project from scratch, beginning from the backend as well as the front-end setup. I'll walk you through the initial configuration so that you can follow along with me. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss the next part. See you on the next one. Bye bye.